Hey, everybody, it's Friday night, and that means that you are joining the Asea 5. It's 5 p.m. somewhere in the world, and we come every Friday night to bring you amazing guests, a lot of the medical from the world of Asea, so that they can share their story and share why these incredible molecules are so important. So I'm Dr. Maureen Hayes from Galveston, Texas. I'm one of your regulars, and I'm joined by Jim and Ann Glenn from San Antonio. Jim is our big
Hello.
money man, and Ann is our beautiful physical trainer and nutritionist. And then, of course, we have Dr. Lee Osler from the state of Washington, who has written the groundbreaking book that you should have in your library, Redox Matters, and soon we'll be releasing the sequel to that, the long-awaited Healthy Matters. So stay tuned for that. And tonight we have an incredibly special guest, somebody who's a good friend of all of ours that we really respect. We love him. We love to hear his story. He's coming to us from his ranch in Oklahoma, where he's stuck in a snowstorm, but he usually hails from Frisco, Texas. He's a businessman, a medical practitioner, and a cattle rancher. He's got an incredible story that we want him to share. Leland Duyck, please come on and join us. And please, Leland, take us back, give us a little bit more of the story of your background and how you got introduced to Asea. Say thank you. Welcome, Leland.
Thank you, Maureen, and everyone. Thank you for the introduction. Can you hear me okay? I'm on the iPhone and on my computer tonight. Can you hear okay? Okay, great. Well, I was introduced to this company and this product 7 years ago. My background's been in orthopedics as an orthopedic surgical physician assistant. I did that for surgery for 13 years. Kind of did all kinds of surgeries, assisted 70 surgeons in 9 different hospitals in the Dallas area, firsthand assisting in their surgeries, and that really was my background. And then I just did a lot of sports medicine. I had a real interest in that, working with the local high schools and colleges with athletes and taking care of their injuries. And we kept seeing patients and our athletes with injuries, and the braces they were wearing and the things they had were not, I didn't think, up to par. So I started putting ideas and thoughts together as what would make it better. And we started designing and patenting orthopedic sports braces. And one thing led to another. And before I know it, I had working with a company. We had 150 employees making sports braces for high schools, colleges, pro teams, NFL, NBA, the Olympic teams, winter and summer games, ATP tennis, and all 156 veterans hospitals in the country. So my whole background has been around either the surgical side or the treatment side on the sports bracing side of it. And so I always cared about helping others. I had a sports injury myself, and then I had a severe injury in the summer before I went off to college. Almost lost my right foot. I had a couple of skin grafts and thought I lost my scholarship to college, and then I ended up a year later getting another one on a dual scholarship, basketball and baseball. And so I went up in Kansas and played ball. And so, I'm just a country boy, grew up in the country, raising cattle on the farm and playing sports, and that's really kind of my background. I'm one of 5 boys from a blue-collar worker town called Garland, Texas, outside of Dallas. So that's a little bit about my background. Just an average guy, just loving life. And, went off to college, played ball, played a little bit of ball overseas, basketball, came back and went into my medical program and got my PA degree. And that's really where I kind of launched in what I wanted to do. I never really knew what I wanted to do until I had my foot injury. And when I saw them do some of the surgeries, I was able to sit up and watch some of it because I was numb from the waist down. I could see the procedure. I think that's something I could do. So I really just love being in that arena. And, here I am, always been healthy, running multiple companies, done very well. And I had a friend reach out to me about 7 years ago with this product, Terry Latham. He's my sponsor, and he shared this with me, and I wouldn't look at it. I didn't study at medical school. I didn't think it was legit. I actually kind of laughed at it and called it snake oil because I just didn't believe it was real. I didn't know about it, but I really didn't take time to study it either. I was running 3 other companies, keeping very busy. I'm also a cattle rancher, so when I'm not running the companies, I'm at my ranch and running cattle. And so that's really been my background. And after saying no for 2 years, I was up at my ranch And I was running cattle all day in the cattle chutes. And when I finished late that evening, I drove back to my home in Dallas. My ranch is in southeastern Oklahoma, so it's about 100 miles between my ranch and my home in Dallas. And I went to bed late. I was tired, but everything seemed to be pretty normal. And when I woke up the next morning, I physically could not roll over in bed by myself. I had so much discomfort in my body. It scared me. I didn't know what happened. I looked down and my hands were kind of gnarled like this, turned into my palms. I didn't know what it was. I just knew it wasn't good. And I yelled out for my wife. She'd already got up that morning and she came to help me, and immediately got to the hospital. And 7 weeks later, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder that really just brought me to my knees. And it was a major health challenge for me. I'd never really experienced anything like that. And I didn't know what it was, but after being diagnosed, I went through 14 months of medical treatments, and you name it, I went through it. And after 14 months of treatment and on being a tremendous amount of medications for discomfort and inflammation and IV treatments for my immune system, and you name it, I went through it. Nothing really was any better. And I found myself really in a very unfamiliar territory. I'd never been depressed before. I didn't know how to deal with it. I raised with 5 boys, and, physical and sports and farming and ranching, FFA, we never really complained. We just kind of grew up that way. Put your big boy pants on and get over things. And it wasn't working for me. And I found myself very depressed and room by myself or where I was going. And I was afraid. I was afraid I was going to lose my businesses. I was afraid I was going to lose my ranch. I could not do the things that I had done in my whole life. I couldn't take the cap off a bottle of water. I couldn't dress myself without help. I couldn't go to the restroom without help. And when you're used to being an athlete and a cattle rancher, and then you can't even dress yourself, it does a mind job on you. And it really was affecting me. And I'd seen patients before, but I thought a lot of them were acting sometimes also to get more medications or to do what you had to kind of figure it out who they were. And so I never really even dreamed about being depressed, but I found myself there, and it was major. And I was even thinking some really crazy thoughts in my head, which for me is not me. I didn't want to live that way. I did not want to live that way. And about that time, my friend Terry Latham called me back and said, "Hey, I know you're going through a tough time, and I don't know what it is. When I tell this story, sometimes when I go back and think of where I was, I just get a little emotional sometimes, so bear with me. But he just said, "Man, I know you're hurting, and I've got something I think can help you. I can't promise you one thing, but what I've seen, it can help you." And I said, "Well, I know you before you told me you had a product that was non-toxic." I said, "Can you prove that?" And he said, "Yeah." And he sent me the toxicity study, and I saw that it couldn't hurt me. And I knew that everything else I'd been taking for the last 14 months just had real side effects to all of them. And I was feeling the effects of them. And I didn't want to be on them anymore, but I didn't know what else to do. And so Terry told me where to go and look. And I read that night on the PubMed, and I saw almost 15,000 articles on redox signaling. And I've been on the business side, running orthopedic companies with a lot of employees, traveling on the road, going to ball games at night, working with athletes in and out of the NBA locker rooms. I was not in the surgery part at that time, and I really wasn't keeping up with the new science. And I got excited that night that maybe I had found something. It literally gave me hope again, that I had found something that maybe could help me. And so I called Terry and said, "Let's go to the company." And he goes, "What?" And I said, "I want to fly out. I have to see it. I have to know that it's real." I wasn't skeptical. I was more on the cynical role. But when you're desperate, you'll listen. And it's always about timing. Timing has everything to do with this when it's introduced to you. I've seen that over the last 5 years. But anyway, I went out and visited the company. I went through their manufacturing facility, and running manufacturing facilities myself, I know what to look for. I didn't see any red flags. I was very wowed. And I don't get wowed because I'm around big athletes and big business for many years. And I just don't get impressed very easy. This company impressed me with their leadership. They impressed me with their plant. You could eat off the warehouse floor, FDA, FTC approved plant. And I thought, wow, this is just, I thought it was too good to be true. When I got there, it just seemed like it was. And so I remember when I met them, my hands were still gnarled like this. I couldn't even shake their hands properly. And I remember meeting with the top team there, even with Karen Riley, and sat with her for a long time in a room. And, you know, we shared experiences, same things. She'd gone through some things and shared with me, and really just touched my heart to see the concern of the management of that company. And I'd made a decision there to come home and start taking the product. And I did. And in the first week, about 80% of my discomfort, all my joints went away. And I was happy, because after 14 months of treatment and nothing was working, I was very depressed. And so for that to happen was just an amazing thing in the first week. In the second week, I found that my depression was lifted. My wife even made a comment, "You're a lot more fun to be around." So I guess when you're hurting and not feeling good, you're not fun to be around. But in the third week, my hands opened and closed for the first time in 14 months. And when you don't know if you're going to recover from something or not, and it does, I just can't tell you the joy that it brings you. So I didn't understand it. I studied orthopedics, not cellular science. I just knew something was happening and it was good. That's all I knew. And the more I tried to study and read, and the more I talked to people, the more I started understanding it a little bit better. And, you know, in the first 90 days on the product, I came off 3 of my medications that I'd been on for 8 to 10 years for high blood and sugar levels and high uric acid levels. And in 9 months, I came off a breathing apparatus because I snored at night, and it just kept getting better and better and better. And it was just amazing. And all I could think about, you know, was how many friends, how many people, athletes that I know, are people that I went to church with, are people that I've worked with or sat on the boards with, or wherever I met them. Key people would come into my mind. Wow, I know they have very specific issues going on. I wonder if this could help them like it's helping me. And that's what was going on in my mind during that time. So I told my wife, I said, I really just have to know, if this happened to me, or is this going to happen to someone else, just like it happened to me? And so I made a decision. Terry talked to me about making my list. So I made a list of 50 people, and I drew a line on that 30th person. And I told my wife, I'll visit all 30 of these people in the next 30 days personally and talk with them about this product. And that's what I did. And in those 30 people said yes. And 30 people saw results. It was so tremendous and overpowering for me. I just thought, oh my gosh, this is better than anything I'd seen in the clinic. The results were there. It was non-toxic. It could not hurt them. It can only help them. I thought, it doesn't get any better than this. We got a product that nobody in the world has, but this company. As an entrepreneur, that's a dream to be able to have something like that. And all I could think about with my business background is, wow, where can this go? But I really wasn't interested in the business part at first. All I cared about was getting healthy. I didn't want anything to do with the business or network marketing, what I thought it was, not what I found that it is. That's what I'd heard from other people. And so the more I researched and looked at it, it to me was better than my own brick and mortar type businesses that I had built for years. I've built 2 pretty strong big orthopedic companies and sold them. I'm on my 3rd one. I've also had a laboratory company. So I've built and had a lot of employees, a lot of companies. But in all of those businesses, you have to have employees and overhead and rent and all those kind of issues. And with this, I was doing it from home. I had none of the brick and mortar issues that I had with traditional business. So that was playing on the back of my mind. And this stuff just kind of, like, it plants a seed in your mind. And I was thinking all these things all the time as I'm going through talking to these 30 people. But what happened in the next 30 days is when I decided to start doing this on the business side, I went to bronze very quickly. I went from bronze, I think, to diamond in 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So I went to diamond in 14 weeks. And it was just people were coming in and out of the house and leaving. I was showing them the product or going and talking to them and telling them I can't promise you anything, but they had seen me when I was sick, and then they saw me when I was better. And they were blown away by that. So I think the combination of having credibility with those people, and that they had seen me unhealthy and then they saw me healthy and they knew they had an issue, they thought, I trust you. Let's run with it. And that's really how my journey started here, is sharing it with others. And all of a sudden I started getting these checks in the mail, these thank you checks from the company for sharing it with other people. And I thought, wow, this is unbelievable. And it just kept getting better and better. My health kept getting better and better. And so I was on this new journey of something that I figured my whole life would finish or start and finish with orthopedics, but it didn't. And now to be able to find these redoxanium molecules and to be able to get my body healthy and be able to, it's changed my life 2 separate times, and I'll talk about that tonight. But, you know, I have just never seen anything like it in my 40 years. And it's just been phenomenal to see it help family members, friends, and people around the country achieve levels of healthiness that they didn't have before they tried this product. So it's just been a real joy and a privilege to be a part of this company from the leadership down. The leadership's incredible. Never seen anything like it in my 60 years. People truly care about you as a person, not just about the money. And we have a group of people around the country that I would say are like-minded. They care about helping other people. And I like that. I like that a lot because that's kind of my background. So this has been a wonderful find for me. And I'll forever be grateful for Terry Latham bringing it to me and sharing it with me, but moreover, for not leaving me after telling him no for 2 years. He stuck with me and he kept calling on me in a professional manner. And so let that be a lesson to everybody. It's all about timing, what people are going through in their lives at the time that you approach them. We all want instant gratification, but it doesn't come like that. And I've always talked about planting seeds, and I can go on a little bit about that in a little bit, but, you know, I'll just stop right there if any of you have questions or thoughts at that point.
Yeah, real quick. I'm going to have Lee. Maureen, do you think we should try to get Leland to try to go out and come back in on the computer?
You know what, Leland, your story is so amazing. And
yeah, I know.
But you were breaking up a little bit. And like when you would hold up I'm assuming you were holding up your hands. We couldn't see you because you were kind of frozen.
Yeah.
So why don't you try that? But, you know, gosh, you know, while you're doing that, we're just going to talk about you because you hit on so many amazing points.
I know. I wrote down like 5 different points I want to go over. But if you don't mind, either you, Maureen, or I guess Dr. Lee, what is Leland talking about? What are these molecules, Lee? We've got a lot of people, you know, all over the world that watch this that don't, it's an introduction. So they hear a phenomenal story like that. They still don't know what we're talking about. Do you mind sharing that real quick while we're getting Leland on his computer, maybe?
That and the disclaimer.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll give the disclaimer and then I'm going to hand it over to Professor.
Yeah, the professor.
His new name, the prof.
The prof. Yeah. For those of you who are joining us, this is not a medical company. It is not. There's a lot of medical people who are involved in this because of what we've seen this do. It's not a drug. It's not a cure, a treatment, something to prevent anything or diagnose anything. What it is a bioreplenishment agent. So we're taking something called redoxanium molecules that Dr. Lee Osler is going to explain in a little bit more detail that allows your cells to work more optimally. They're able to do their job better. And when you give your body the tools it needs, it can often be pretty miraculous what it can do as far as healing and as far as function. So, wow, Leland, that was great. So, Dr. Lee, can you come on and just kind of give a little bit more of a scientific explanation?
Well, I could go really deep and I won't, but you know,
they need to get the book. If they went really deep, they got to read the book.
Lee, make it to where I can understand it. That'll give it real basic.
Well, let's start with this. We live in an environment that's sometimes toxic. You know, we call it stress, environmental stress. But if you're the cell, if you're one of your tiny cells, the question needs to be answered. How does your cell know that it's in trouble? How does it know how to respond to that trouble? When it experiences stress, we'll call it oxidative stress because that's kind of the definition here. But whenever it's in trouble, it has to respond in a way, and it does. It either responds badly or responds in a good way. And the kind of issues that Leland was talking about are the bad way. Those are the inflammatory sides, when oxidation gets too high and our body tries to do its best, but it doesn't. And so it just becomes inflamed. And whether that's autoimmune or whatever it is, it's not good. The other way is the body has built into its programming a way to recognize or detect or sense when there's trouble, and to be able to activate special pathway genes that are responsible for, if you will, upregulating or increasing a healthy response in the form of antioxidants and other processes, cellular renewal. The science word there is autophagy, but it's basically how the cell takes the garbage out, how it detoxifies and renews or replenishes itself. And that is redox. Redox is reduction oxidation. So when you hear us talk about Asea redox, we're talking about the cellular communication of moving electrons around in the cell, which are tasked with telling the DNA what to do in response to different troubles that it sees. And so when Leland was telling his story about how Terry brought him this redox solution, this drink, what he was describing, as Dr. Marine said, was a replenishment or a supplement of molecules that our mitochondria already is making, but just not as much as we get older or we are overly stressed. And by replenishing those, we can reset this communication pathway that allows our cells the ability to act like they did when we were younger. Whereas we get older and we're not making so much of these cellular communication molecules anymore. And so we can't respond to the stresses in our world around us. And so we age and we wrinkle and, get gray hair, and eventually we're going to all die. But the idea is we want a healthy health span. We want to live all of our years in health and not have to be supported by medical intervention because our cells aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. So that is a way of looking at this. And Leland, that was such a great story about how you found this and really the power of a friend. I don't know if he was a close friend at the time, but I know he's become that, since, because we kind of like our family. But I'd be interested, Leland, in having you describe maybe in other words of what I just did. How do you explain this to people when they ask you that same question of what is this and how did this work for you?
Well, the more simple that I keep it, the more people seem to understand it. You can get very scientific, especially when you're wanting to speak to medical professionals. But I'm telling you, the more simple that you keep it, the better it is. And what I basically tell them is that, our body loses the ability to reproduce these redox signaling molecules at about 1% a year. And so for me, I'll be 69 this month. So I've lost about 69% of my body's ability to reproduce these redox signaling molecules. So to be able to drink, this supplement every day, or to be able to put the Renew 28 onto our skin and have it absorbed into our skin, it's not just a breakthrough in science, it's really a game changer. And basically to put back into our body what it's not capable of doing anymore. It's that simple. And for me, that's truly amazing, because when I was unhealthy, I was doubling up on nutritional products and I was doing a lot of other things and I wasn't getting better, and I did not understand it until I realized that when your cells are unhealthy, if your cells can't communicate, as Alan Noble says, nothing else really matters. It's your cell's like an orphan out there by itself if it's unhealthy. So now that you take this drink, because this is not a treatment or a cure for any sickness or illness, it's a cellular communicating product. So it allows your cells to communicate one to another. If one of them is unhealthy and one is, they can't communicate. So by drinking it and allowing it to get better, they can communicate. That's my understanding of it. As they can communicate, then your body can heal itself. And that's what I've seen for my own personal life, taking the product. I was taking a lot of nutritionals, but not getting better. But I wasn't taking Asea at that time. I was taking other nutritionals, and a lot of them had fillers in them. And a lot of them had synthetics and things that your body doesn't burn. It's not as healthy for you. Things we buy at the store. That's how they bring the cost down. But when I got involved with Asea, and then I understood that they came out with their 4 nutritional products, the supplements they have that have no synthetics and no fillers, and it's raw organic food, and it's the daily things we need. And then I heard Dr. Ann Louise Gettleman talking about this, and she's what I call really the pioneer of nutrition, first lady of nutrition, whatever you want to say. She's written 35 books on nutrition. I'd say she has what she says you better listen to. She's been out there a while. And for her to make the comment that taking Asea and taking the nutritionals that we have with Asea, that the combination of those two together was the best combination she had seen for total wellness in her career, and had never endorsed products for 40 years in practice. That's powerful. That's real powerful. And so I'm comfortable with proofs in the pudding. You just got to show me. So I quit taking my 11 or 12 supplements that I was taking, and some of them were high-end supplements because I work with the Olympic training centers. I see some of the stuff they're taking was taking different things, but I wasn't seeing results. Start taking these products with Asea, start dropping off my other ones. I really wasn't spending more money. I was exchanging dollars for something that was actually working. That's what I've seen. And, I've watched it for over 5 years now. I've experienced 2 health challenges. I don't think I'd be here today without this. That's just my opinion. But, I know, Lee, you wrote a book, Redox Matters, and now you've got a new one coming. What I've seen in that book and what we talked about is exactly what I'm seeing in my own personal life, is that redox is a lifestyle. It's the combination of the Asea. It's a combination of good nutrition in your body, something that you do every day, not just once a week or once a month. This is about being serious about your health and being careful with what you put into your body, because I have followed these guidelines for 5 years, and I've just seen major changes in my life. And the fact that it's non-toxic and cannot hurt you is amazing, because when I was in the practice, we wrote scripts every day and we saw the side effects of those scripts, but that's what we were trained on. That's what we need to do. So for me to take something that can't hurt you, to me, would be a first choice. To me, it just seems like human nature. Why wouldn't I try something that has 0 side effects? In fact, we can always go to medications. You can always go to surgeries or treatments. But for me and my medical background, this is just what I've seen in 5 years. It's been tremendous. I've had family members, their life changed, even my brother-in-law with very unhealthy cells in the brain, the lungs, and the adrenal glands. 2 years of treatments at a major facility here in the U.S., and finally they sent him home to get his affairs in order. 5 months on the product, he's been clean now for 2 years. I see stuff like this, I just can't believe it. I'm not sitting here making claims it did anything. I'm just saying this is what happened when we put in his body, and his cells started getting healthy, and his body healed itself. He's a pastor in Arkansas. I get emotional. That's why I do this business, is because I see it changing people's lives. It's kind of like our faith. We can only share it. We can't do anything about it. People have to make their own choices with that. Well, this is kind of what we are here too. We're just the messenger. That's all we are. We're the messenger of a new product that's changing lives around the world, and it cannot hurt you. And why not? You're saying, well, I've tried everything. I was that person. I took 2 years to say yes to it. So I am that person. There's too much science out here today.
Leland, I've got so many things I want to talk to you about. And I know Maureen and Lee and Ann, but you had a health issue. And that's what made you get desperate, as you said. You had no other options. Can you speak to the people that go, hey, I'm healthy? I know your issue happened right overnight, but can you talk to the people about just being proactive for your health? Why wait? But yet it seems like the majority of people go, it's not going to happen to me. Can you talk to them real quick?
I can. And Jim, that's a great point, because being an athlete and being a rancher, I thought I was healthy. And I was tired from working cattle that night. But when I went to bed after driving back down and woke up the next morning, I was like this. I couldn't roll over myself. that is unbelievable. That can happen overnight. And this particular health challenge that I had actually was something that was diagnosed. And when they said it's very rare, you probably never heard of it. And when they told me, I just rolled my head back and rolled my eyes. And he goes, "You've heard of it?" I said, "My mom had it." I said, "You couldn't even touch her in her upper extremity in her older years. She was fine. All of a sudden, it hit her too." So you can think you're healthy, but you're not. You don't know whether you are or not. And so being preventative is just being smart. Today, we take in so many toxins from our water and from the food that we eat and from, the new 5G, all the stuff that's all around us every day, the stress from work, marriage, kids running all the time. Our bodies are stressed. And that's what happened. My doctor told me that I was running 3 companies. I wasn't sleeping good at night. At my age of 60, I was getting up a few times a night, going to the bathroom like most guys. And they just said, your body's never getting into deeper REM sleep. It's never recovering from what you put it through on a daily basis. And your body just went backwards. Your immune system went backwards because you were working too much and your body wasn't resting. I'm telling you, if you don't take care of your body, it won't take care of you. And so, Jim, for me, I've learned through this process that my health is my biggest asset. Mm-hmm. I had to change my philosophy on life, things I was doing. Do I do it right every day? No, I try. I try to get better. I learn. I'm from the School of Hard Knocks. I've learned. I'm not a real educated man. I left college right at 3 years and came home with my medical training. At that time, you could start without completing college. And what I've learned has just been through brick and mortar business, School of Hard Knocks, making mistakes, learning it, and then doesn't take me long to see something like this. You know your body better than anybody. You know how you feel. Everybody wants to look better, look younger, feel better, have more energy, all of those things. I've never seen a vehicle that can deliver it like Asea and their products. And that's after being on it for 5 years and taking it myself and watching other family members around the world take it. And, I'll go to a meeting and see some people and they just get started and I'll be back a month or 2 later and I'll look at them and say, "Wow, you look so much younger." And I go, "Really? I can't tell the difference." I said, "Oh, I can." It's kind of like a lady when she's in her pregnancy, how they have that glow about them. I see that in people after I have a meeting and a month later. So I see it. And I encourage people to take their own pictures and look back on their stuff because, I don't know of anything else. And I've been around medicine for a long time, but this not being a medicine that has something that cannot hurt you, well, to me, this is a first choice. And with a money back guarantee, I knew I had nothing to lose to try. It was kind of my ego, if you will. I hadn't heard of this. I didn't study med school. This is hocus pocus. This isn't real. All the things that we all say. It's salt water from Salt Lake City. I mean, I had all those thoughts in my head too, believe me. That's why I went out to the company. But everything they've told me has been true and more. And I didn't expect the results that I'm getting. This has been more gratifying, Jim, than doing the surgery on patients, helping them for a ball game, being an athlete yourself, or helping somebody for a season. This is really changing the dynamics of their life. A mom, a dad, a child, and seeing people enjoy life on a whole new level that they would never ever be able to experience. And I know that's true for me. I'm 69 this month. I run a 450-acre cattle ranch. I groom all the trees. I mow. I do it all. I run the cattle. I do the surgeries on them. I do everything. And occasionally hire people to help me feed or do something. But it's a joy to be able to do this. This is my love. And I thought it was all going down the tubes. I thought I was going to have to sell the place and get rid of it because if I couldn't do what I do on this place, I would sell because it wouldn't be enjoyable anymore. This is like a hobby for me. It's something I enjoy doing. It's my golf. For most guys that play golf, but this is my golf. It's my getaway, hunting and fishing and raising cattle and being in the middle of nowhere. I have a beautiful rolling hills farm ranch and a lot of ponds and water. And I'm appreciative and I love that I have my health back. And I think I see it to that and not just my health. What Asea has allowed for me was when my back was against the wall financially. I had a 2-year no compete after selling my company and then a year, 14 months sick. no income for 13 months. If I hadn't made money on my other companies, I wouldn't have made it. But I was going through a lot of money. And now with Asea, at the level I'm at and the money I'm making, I was able to pay off all my credit cards, Jim. I was able to pay off the ranch. I'm able to pay off all my equipment on the ranch. I work on a monthly basis. I don't have to, I'm just blessed. That's all I can say. And to live a life, I don't have to punch a clock anymore, being in the office. The first one there, last one to leave. I can spend a week or two on the ranch here and never go outside the front gates. And I'd work my Asea business from right here on the phone or on my tractor or whatever I'm doing. I'm enjoying life on my terms. And I never dreamed it could be like that, because with my other companies, I was always having to work 14, 16, 18-hour days and travel all over the country. So this company and this product has changed my life in so many ways I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, I could sit and talk to you all day about how this product and this company's changed my life. And people like you, all of you on the call here, new friends that I've met all over the world, that means a lot to me. It's not just people we knew growing up. These are constantly meeting new people that just touch my heart, and I enjoy spending time with them. And we've got a like-minded group of people that care about people from every phase of life, physicians, nurses. I love my team, and I love what we do together and work together. Being playing sports, it was always a team thing for me. And this is a team event. You can do so much more with a team than you can do by yourself. And I'm just enjoying that. So I'm grateful for my team and for this company.
Yeah. Cool. Ann?
I was thinking about, your story. I read it again in Healthy Self. So if anybody hasn't read it, you can go to Facebook, Asea Healthy Self. And I read your, couple, well, it wasn't a page, but it was a long explanation in 2018. And so I'm thinking about all the people that have loved ones that are going through watching their family members suffer even longer, some of them, 14 months. Jim, he said he was on, one particular medication for 25 years. I watched him suffer for 13. There wasn't really any other hope. And this is hope in a bottle for people that are new today. I know some people this week haven't even gotten their box yet. And, we're encouraging them to try this much longer than 90 days. 90 days is the minimum. Do more than the minimum on the bottle if you have something more challenging, and you'll get to your results quicker. And I'm sure you drank at minimum 8, but probably closer to 16. I know Jim was started at 8, and we're closer to now 14. But, y'all medical people know that this is the missing link. And I've seen nutrition, is good for what it's for. And there's some good stuff out there, some bad. We have excellent because of how it's sourced and how it's married, well with Redox. And I watch the fitness world, there's benefits there to be active, but also when you're active and like you running all around like you were doing, that puts more oxidative stress on anyone when they travel, when they work out. Even though those are good things for you, your body wears down. Maybe we can talk about what makes this Redox that you're born with, what makes it the missing link, different than anything else other people are doing today. Why does this, in your case, why did it start working after you finally said, okay, I'm done with everything else. Now I'm going to do this. Maybe you, Maureen and Lee, can throw in, more of the medical side or the scientific side. Why these are so crucial to the body. So speak.
I was going to let Leland take the first right of refusal. These molecules are foundational. If you looked at your body, if you thought of your body as a vehicle, like a car, all the nutrition, the juices, the green drinks, even, our fantastic nutrition is gas going into the tank, right? It doesn't matter how high the octane is or how clean or pure it is. If you don't have spark plugs in your engine or whatever we use, catalytic converters, if that is not happening, if the energy is not happening, if the engine is not cranking, doesn't matter what's in the tank. right? These molecules go to the engine. They're part of the cellular energy production in the mitochondria of the cells. All we are doing is righting a wrong, balancing those molecules. As Leland was saying, we lose 10% of our mitochondria per decade after puberty. So that's where these molecules are made. Plus, with all the stresses in our life and all of the toxins and everything, they come out of balance. So when we replenish them, we're correcting the imbalance and we're providing an abundance of the molecules. And so the machinery starts to turn back on and do its job again. And that's what we're saying. The body is designed to heal itself, and it can be miraculous. The body is designed to do incredible things.
That's right. Excellent.
Were you going to say something, Lee? Okay, so Leland, you said you shared it with 30 people in 30 days. What do you, and all 30 of them had an experience, but what do you say to the people that start taking this and they feel nothing?
Yet.
I don't feel anything yet. Correct. Alan Noble, one of our good friends, he said, Jim, I've never felt anything. And he's only been on it for 13 years. So speak to that a little bit too, if you don't mind, Leland.
Well, I've just never seen anything like it. And people say, I don't feel anything. I think we have to look at kind of the history of the product. After 12 years now, they say 15% of the people will see results in the first week, something, better sleep, more energy, something they'll see or feel. We see that all the time. Half of the people see results in a month, in 30 days, but 90% of the people see results in 90 days. And if we just think about that for a little bit, we have to remember that our body didn't get to where it is overnight. Wherever you are, it didn't get there overnight. It's from years of abuse, of eating, drinking, whatever you put in your body, stress, oxidative stress, whatever. A lot of people don't give this product enough time to do its job. This is a preventative product. You have to let it do its job. I think about it as maybe something, maybe you take a medicine for your heart or for some other thing. You may not see or feel it either, but it's doing its job, as a preventative. So I just look at it as a preventative, and I know that my body didn't get there overnight. And I tell people to be patient. A lot of people want proof. And so when they do that, I'll say, well, then this is what I would advise you to do. Go get your blood work done. Go to your family doctor, get your blood work done, get your complete CBC blood work, get your sed rate level. It's SED, that's sedimentation, sed rate. That's your inflammatory marker in your body. And know what that number is, because for me, I was like this. That's the first thing my rheumatologist wanted to check. They want to see your levels, where you're at. And so I tell them to go get all of that done and then trust in the science. We're not on trial anymore. The company's been around for 12 years. Harvard's got a multi-million-dollar lab studying Redox. It's in most every major university I'm aware of. They're teaching it. Even our local high schools are teaching it today. Redox is here to stay. Redox is going to be a household name, just like Kleenex is. People will know the term Redox. And we got so many new things, PhDs from major universities leaving to join our company because they see what we have our hands on and bringing new things to the table for us for that Redox life that Dr. Lee Osler is going to talk about in his new book. It's a lifestyle. And we just have to understand how important it is to our body. And we have to give it a chance to work. So I encourage people, I do a lot of people in the entrepreneur packs, the bigger packs, because I get them to commit to 90 days. And if they're going to do that, it's cheaper to come in at an entrepreneur level and buy the big pack. And then it only has 1 month's supply of nutrition. So I just have them do their nutrition for their subscription from that point on. And then they can order whatever they want when they need it. So that's really what I do. Is I do a better job now teaching up front that we can't guarantee anything, and it's different for everybody. My wife took almost 5 months before she started seeing some results. I got immediate results. So everybody seems to be a little different. Sometimes people will up their dosage to a higher dosage and they'll see it quicker. But I've seen people get tremendous results just with 4 ounces. So it's not always about more volume. It's about taking it every day like you're supposed to and letting it do its job. And that's what I've seen over 5 years. if people will take it religiously every day, like they're supposed to, with the nutrition that we have, and you put these two together, I just think that's a phenomenal combination. And your health's your biggest asset. If you're not going to invest in it now, you will later. And why not enjoy life, especially at my age, and be able to enjoy all your life, not get to 40 or 50 and you got all the money in the world, but you have no health to enjoy it. And I didn't want to be there. And so I feel blessed that I found something that's turned my life around. And that's why I feel obligated and to really share this with people every day, because I think we have to be the messenger. If I didn't share it and a friend of mine found out that I had it and didn't share it and they had a health issue, that I wouldn't be much of a friend to them. What they do with it is up to them. And I think we make a big mistake of trying to convince people. I think we have to let them read the science. We have to give them the information and let them make a decision, because it is about timing. And a lot of them will tell you no, but then they'll be back 30 days, 60 days, 4 months, 6 months. I got 2 family members that were 2 years before they came in, but they're watching you. So you're staying consistent with it. Consistency is the name of the game. And, it's kind of like planting seeds. And, today it really hit me. I have to tell the story. I was up at 6:30 this morning putting hay out in the snowstorm for my baby calves, make sure they got plenty of hay to eat. And as I was driving my heels across the back where I had been rolling out bales of hay, I have brand new fresh ryegrass coming up. Brand new grass. My front fields, you fertilize, you're starting to see grass come up. You plant seeds, you're starting to see new seeds come up. Whether it was my orthopedic business or whether it's this business or whether it's ranching, you have to plant the seeds. You have to talk it. You have to put it out there, because you don't usually harvest in the same season. I planted seeds and rolled that hay out months ago, and now it's starting to come up strong. Every business I've been in, it's the same. You've got to be active. You've got to share it. That's planting the seeds. You got to water it. And then you don't always harvest in the same season, but just keep doing it and keep sharing it with people. It's a numbers game. And there's enough people out there that are looking for this that don't know that it's here. And they're looking for it because they've lost hope too, just like I had. Mm-hmm. We got to find those people. And if people are not interested, thank them for their time and move on and go talk to somebody else, because they're out there looking for it.
Leland, you made a comment once about not being too attached to the outcome. I think you're kind of speaking to that right there. Could you elaborate?
I had some family members and some close friends that needed this, and they wouldn't do it. And I just stayed on them to the almost to the point of hurting the relationship. And I was so determined to get them healthy. Well, what I've learned is that as humans, we can't force ourselves on people. We can only share with them and let them make decisions that's right for them. What you don't want to do is ruin that opportunity for them to come back. And so now when I share with people, if they tell me no, I say, well, you know what, Lee, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you watching that video that I sent to you. But just keep in mind, for me, I woke up one morning and everything changed. So it could be next week or next month or next year. It could be you. It could be a loved one, someone you work with, someone you go to church with. I want you to remember that I have something that I think can help them. So when that time comes, I want you to feel free reaching out to me again and calling me and letting us share what we have. It's the best gift you can give somebody. It's a gift of health. And so many of those people now have come back because I did that and not put pressure on them. If your family says no, leave them alone. Move on. They're watching. Mine was watching me, but now they're involved. So sometimes it's all about timing. You can't force things on people. I don't like people trying to force on me. So I've just learned just to be the messenger and move on down the road. But don't get attached whether they're going to do it or they're not, because that's not something you can control.
Right.
You're wasting your time.
Yeah. I was thinking about Alan Nobles and him, his experience. He knew that it was working because he saw what it did with his wife. And of course he researched and knew that this was, the greatest science since penicillin. And he may not say he has seen like these major changes, but at close to, if somebody's close to 50 and they're on these molecules, imagine all the things that he has not had to experience because he's on these molecules, because you're losing 1% every year anyways. So if you, whether you're on it or not, they're going to keep depleting. And so I'm all about being proactive. I mean, it helps his workouts. I know it does. He's talked about that it does help his workouts. So, just like I've encouraged exercise, well, people who get on an exercise program, they're not going to see it the first day, 2 days, 3 days. They better be doing it on a consistent, regular basis, or they're really not going to see the fruit of those workouts. Same with nutrition. You don't take an omega and, oh, I see a change today. I mean, it doesn't work like that. And same with redox signaling. This is stackable. Rightly, we were talking about redox active, the word I like now. I mean, you have to be on this long enough. And I know people have seen on a thermograph that these molecules do impact inflammation. So whether it's working or not, they've been tested. They've been tested at Torrent Labs. They've been tested at Appalachian University. So we know they're going to work. You just got to be willing to invest in your health and long enough to see that change, right, Leland?
Yeah, you talked about Alan. Not only did he see his wife get better, but he saw his dad get better. And he said, I never had a health challenge, but I don't want one either. And that's why he's been more proactive to take this on a daily basis, because he said, I didn't have to see it work on me. I saw the stories. I read the science. I knew it was there. I'm not going to wait 6 months and something could happen. I'm going to jump in right now. And I talked to so many people that, I'm going to have to take it first. And if it works for me, then I'll share it. And I'll say, well, if you want to wait, that's fine. But every day you wait, you're past an opportunity to change somebody's life. My story, all the stories. You can go to Real Redox Results and see 100 testimonies of people where this product has changed their life. So I try to encourage people not necessarily to wait for a month or two, get on it, see what it does. But a lot of times they get on it right away, and within weeks they're ready to switch over from a customer to an associate, because now their belief level is so that, wow, this stuff is real. They just had to see it before they could really get turned on to start promoting it. So I understand that. I mean, I was a lot that way myself, so I understand it. But we just all have a great job to do, and to get out and share this. And, it seems like the more I do it, the easier it gets. It becomes just second nature to talk to people about it. And sometimes I'll ask probing questions like, how's your mom and dad? Or how's your brother and sister? Or, how's this stuff that's going around the country affected you and your family? I ask probing questions that will make them talk about something. And I may not even bring up redox at that point. I just talk about it with them and their family. And then I make a note of it. And I'll wait a day or two, and then I'll call them back. And I'll say, you mentioned something the other day about your family or whatever. And I just can't sit here and not share something with you after hearing that, because I'm involved with this biotech company. And it's the introduction. But when they see your heart in it, they're just not trying to sell them something. They know the difference when you truly care and when you don't. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing in their business, is people need to see your passion. They need to see your concern for them. People don't know how much you care till you show them. That's been my whole philosophy with this. And maybe I spend too much time on the products, not the business side. But when they get it on the product side, if they know how to do the business, they will. And, I'm sure Terry's happy he didn't give up on me, after 2 years of saying no. It's all about timing. So you never know who you're talking to, it may not even be that person. It may be people down underneath that will help grow your organization. But I'd ask everybody on this call listening in, do you consider this kind of a passion of yours? Ann and Jim, I know y'all do. This is a passion for y'all. It's a passion for me. What about you? Lee or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask Maureen, because we have 5 minutes left, and Maureen's been very quiet, which is very unusual. But Maureen, how did you deal with the fact that it was network marketing? How did you go about approaching people? It's the humanity of sharing, but sometimes people think more about, well, what are they going to think of me? They're going to think I'm doing that. How did you deal with that, Maureen? Because I remember that name above the door.
Yeah, big deal.
That was a big deal for you.
Yeah, the first time I was exposed to it, I was chief of anesthesia at a hospital, and I thought I was all that in a bag of chips, right? And so when this gentleman, another doctor, came into my office to show me the little circles and lines and stuff, and I had no idea what was going on. And he's like, "You can make a lot of money at this." And I said, "Hey, can I show you something?" He's like, "Sure." And so we went out in the hallway, and I shut the door, and I said, my name's on the door with my title. I was like, "That's me, and I've got a really good job. I don't need your little thing." I practically booted him down the hall. I mean, it was just
Poor guy.
terrible, terrible. I've had so many incidents that I call, periods of arrogance and ignorance, right? I had no idea what I was talking about. Then I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, if you've heard my story. And I was like, oh my God. And I went and I joined that company. I was a failure. That was one of the, it was like an Amway thing. I was terrible. Lost all my friends. Nobody would, even my family wouldn't answer my calls. And then I was with a company for a while whose products I used in my pain clinic, and I loved them, but I wouldn't, it was like that thing. I had this sort of stigma, kind of like Dr. Lee has talked about. But you know what? When I joined this one, I joined to get the best possible pricing. And I told Terry Latham, I'm not going to any meetings. I'm not going to learn the secret handshake. I'm not going to share it. I just want to see what it does for my family. But offhandedly shared it with a couple of friends, one who was a joiner. She just signed herself up. Another one had an amazing response, and she was off to the races. You guys, this is something where we work as a team. We care about each other. We care about our cross line. We're all cross line here. Well, Dr. Lee and I are on the same team. But you know what? We care about everybody's success and about everybody's health. And you know what? Me, I could probably take us over the top of the hour. But Leland, there's one thing that I wanted to ask you about, and I hope you don't mind my bringing it up. But you have a story that always touches my heart. It's a story of regret of who you didn't share with. Do you mind kind of touching on that? Because I think that's so powerful.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine that I played high school basketball with, and I was wanting to share this business with him, but he'd been very successful and made a lot of money. And I was putting off going to see him until I reached a certain level in this company that I thought would appeal to him. And when I did hit that level in the 7-figure after 3 years, I thought, this is the chance. And I got a phone call, and he'd passed away with unhealthy cells. And I remember going to his funeral, sitting there with tears flowing down my face. I was more interested in making money to show him this was good than sharing it with him. I'll never wait again to share this with somebody for any reason, because if they're a friend of mine, they need to know about it. What they do with it's up to them. But that has haunted me, Maureen, that for 2 years I had him on my list but never called on him, because I was waiting until I had reached a level that I thought I could impress him enough that he would look at it. And well, sometimes we have some hard lessons in our lives. And, I could just, but story after story after story, I can tell you in 5 years that brings tears to my eyes, what this company is doing. And, I want to say something if I can. I know we got a couple of minutes here, but just in September, we had a national meeting I went to, and I came home from that meeting and I caught something that a lot of people around the country are dealing with today. And I went into hospital just to get some medications, but I was so sick they admitted me. And I was there for 8 days, lost 30 pounds, very sick, was at the top level on an oxygen machine that if it went one more, I was going to be put on a ventilator. And in that room, I was isolated from my family. I was isolated from people until the last day they allowed my wife to come in for an hour with a robe and gown and mask and all that. And I was without my product. And I had her bring my drink and my gel to me. And that night, I truly didn't feel I was going to come out of the hospital. I didn't think I'd see my home again. I just felt I was in my trenches of despair. I really thought it was over. And, I had my faith, and I prayed about it, turned it over to the Lord, just said, I've done all I can do. That night, I put Renew 28 all over my chest. I drank 24 of the 32 ounces. I hadn't been on it all week because they hadn't let anybody in. And then I found an avenue to get it in my lungs too, because I had 2 diagnoses and then both were around my lung. And by finding the way to take it and get it into my system 3 different ways, by morning at 6:30, they came in to take my labs, woke me up, and I was feeling better. I didn't know what happened. I just was feeling better. And at 9:30, my doctor came in, and I was actually taking another treatment with drinking my Asea and putting on the gel in my chest. And she came in right in the middle of it, and she says, I don't know what's happened, but all your numbers have dropped in half overnight. And within 36 hours, I was out of the hospital. I can't say and claim anything, but that's the second time this product's changed. I feel has changed my life because nothing was done differently other than that. And sometimes we take our health for granted, and it can be gone like that. And we've all lost people or seen people in the last few years we've lost. And that week when I came home, I went to see my dad. Well, I gave it to him, and he died that week while I was in the hospital. It's been a tough few months for me. Sometimes we just go through life, but in my time of despair, I feel like I was in the shadow of death in that room that night. I felt that I had nothing. There's nothing I could do. All I could do is pray. And the next day I realized that that's all I needed. And things were better. And, sometimes it made me change my thoughts on my life and things that I'm doing. I'm starting a new thing called the 5 F's in my life now. My first thing is my faith. My second is my family. My third is fun, building my Asea business. Fourth is my fitness, and fifth is my finances. And I think you have to have a good balance in life. And if you don't balance life, because I've done the finance number 1 for years. That was all I did, was making money and building businesses. And I was a great provider, but I wasn't a good dad. So I've had a chance to kind of revamp some of the things in my life. And, I even told some of my team I'm not available on some of my Sundays now. I'm going to work 6 days a week, but I give specific time working the business. I spend 7.5 hours a day for my team. I'm very focused when I'm on with them, helping them to build their businesses. But I think you have to have a good balance in life. And if you're out there and you're working too much, or you're not getting your fitness, you're not taking care of your health right, your family right, a lot of things don't last. They're shortcomings. They don't last long. And I think if I could say anything to you tonight is be proactive with your family, be proactive with your health, enjoy life, but make good choices. It's the little disciplines every day, whether it's with your Asea business, whether it's with your family, whether it's me running this ranch. I have to do daily disciplines every day for that cycle of success to work in any of my businesses. And if it's not there, it doesn't work. Right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, I just felt I had to say that. Somebody need to hear it tonight. You got to be in balance with life. And we've got great stuff here to help you on the health side. And we have good family and friends here to support each other. And so I found a home here, and I really enjoyed it. It's an honor to be here and be on this call tonight.
Well, we
Wow.
appreciate you. Awesome.
I think we're going to wrap it up with that, Leland. That was
Leland.
amazing. Thank you for being so
Transparent.
That's what I love about you. You're so transparent. You're so real. And when you have your life change like we have, it's very emotional. I'll never forget when we had my best friend on and he was sharing, and I couldn't say a word. I was in tears the whole time. And so thank you, Leland, for sharing from your heart. You have touched and will continue to touch and change thousands upon thousands of lives.
Yeah.
So, Lee, who do we have on next Friday, sir?
Well, thank you, Leland. It was great to have you. Next week, we have Dr. Ray Dixon, all the way from Thailand. He's one of the most articulate health professionals I think I've met in terms of describing this whole arena of how Redox fits into life and lifestyle. So we're looking forward to having him. He's a chiropractor and a naturopath, and we're going to enjoy next week.
That'd
So,
be awesome.
Maureen, wrap it up. Then I'll hit the pause and we'll talk a little bit more.
Leland, just phenomenal. You're like a Renaissance man. You've accomplished so much success, and you hit every possible point of, why we're all involved in this, what we're doing,
Yep.
from losing your health and realizing that health is your greatest asset to, putting people first and caring about them. Kind of like Vertus,
Yeah.
putting people before profit. Thank you. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. So wonderful call. So
Yes.
just appreciate you.
Can I say one last thing in closing?
Please.
I have to share that when I got home from the hospital, I got a long text message from our founder that told me he was awoken in the night, concerned about my health, and he got on his knees and he prayed for me for a long time that God would spare my life and give me my health back. That's the founder of this company. That's the kind of people that are managing and running this company. They have a heart for people. That meant the world to me, for him to pray for me like that and to be awoken in the middle of the night and get out of bed and get on his knees. Crushed me when he told me. I'm so grateful for this company.
That's beautiful.
Well, guys,
means a lot.
I'm lost. So we're going to pause the recording, stop
Thanks,
the recording.
everybody.
Guys, we're here every Friday night. We will not be here Good Friday. We'll be at our church. And so with that, y'all, I'm going to pause the recording. We do stick around if we can and chat for a little bit. So guys, thank you so much. Remember, have the humanity of being able to share something. Don't think so much what people will think of you. Think of what this will do for them. And it may not be someone, they may not need it, but they may know someone that does. And then never forget about the financial blessing as well. I don't know where we would be without this. This is also an opportunity for the right people like Leland and Lee and myself and with Maureen. So we thank you guys for joining us. We love what we do. I can't wait for convention.
Yep.
We will be having a table there. We'll be doing it by Lee Osler's. We will do our Friday night show from there. So we're really looking forward to seeing everybody there. So God bless everybody, and we'll see you next Friday.
Thanks,
Thank
Leland.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thank you
Thank
again.
you.
Appreciate y'all coming on.
Everybody. Love you guys.
Bye-bye.
Y'all are